NAFDAC. EU rejects 24 food products, question Nigeria over standards. EU plans to cut pesticide use by 2023. Will it affect global food security? These are the kind of news we hear around pesticides in Nigeria. Next slide. Of course, the World WHO and FAO of UN has actually done an article, Article 7.5 of the International Code of Pesticide Management prohibits the distribution of banned hazardous pesticides. But are we really actually doing it? So if it's international regulations, we do. But do these international people obey these international regulations? Those are the questions we should ask. Next slide. So we all know that they are not safe. Hazardous are not safe. Pesticides are, all these pesticides are used mainly in developing countries by smallholder farmers. And yeah, what do we do next? That's the question. Next slide. So these are some chemicals. These are some pesticides that are banned. The red part is where they are banned, and their regulatory status is very important that we know this. Their regulatory status in Nigeria. Now, look at the first one. It has been banned in the UK, but in Nigeria, it's neither what? Banned nor in use. Next slide. The first one there is banned in India, banned in New York, California, but in Nigeria, in 2022, Federal Ministry of Agriculture banned it, but NAFDAC is still contemplating whether they will ban or not ban. Remember, NAFDAC is the sole regulatory agency for chemicals, food, drug chemicals. The next one is banned in India, but in Nigeria is what? Is neither banned nor in use. We don't know. We don't have any status with regards to that. Next slide. And many others. Next slide. And many others. Next slide. Like that. And the next slide. So what have we done so far? A combination of partners have come up to design a dossier for registered and unregistered pesticides market in Nigeria. Like I said in my previous comments, that lack of information is a problem. So we have gotten this dossier so that we will all be informed of the kind of the housewife, the market woman, on the kind of pesticides you can use and you cannot use. So it's very, very important. Next slide. Now, this slide is only just telling us about the different channels in which pesticides get into Nigeria. But most importantly is from shop. Like I told you, Shedda village in Kwali Area Council, they would not have 10 naira to eat food, but they will have 20 naira to go and buy glyphosate. Glyphosate, yes, especially glyphosate, to herbicide to kill their weeds. It's really terrible, But this is the realities. This is the reality on ground. Next slide. So, what are the facts to consider? The facts to consider are around environmental issues, land degradation, climate change, erosion, flooding. Now, another fact to consider is our dependence on chemicals. And has this increase in chemicals increased our productivity? No. So another fact to consider is low productivity of our farming system, our food system. Now, what do you think might be the solution? Agroecology. And by agroecology, I like to tell students is that agroecology means how you can apply good environmental practices in agriculture. It's as simple as that. It's not big English. What are those good environmental practices that you can apply in your daily, in your agri system? Remember I said something about how were we farming, our fathers and forefathers, great-grandpa. I remember my great-grandfather, I remember my great-grandfather, I met my great-grandfather, how they were farming. My grandfather never used chemical, never used fertilizer. We used to have a dump site in the farm where when we eat, after eating, we go and drop everything inside that farm, a compost. After some time, he will tell all the small children to go there and match it very well. What we'll do, we're mixing it. We'll put some earth, soil inside. We will match everything. Then later, he will tell us to mold it into small balls. Those balls we will dry. Those were I can remember that. Those were his fertilizer. And we would just go, we're throwing them in his farm like that. These were our indigenous knowledge. Today, there's nobody in my village that does that kind of thing. Those kind of indigenous knowledge have all eroded off. So agroecology brings back those form of indigenous knowledge, combining it with some form of science and technology, the technological approaches. We don't expect somebody to have 1 hectare and you now start throwing balls up and down. No, now. You just throw from here to this place and you're tired. But if there's some agricultural, science and tech you can apply to it, it might work. So we need, agroecology has those kind of things to look at the effects of climate change, to look at the climate sensitivity and prioritizing it, as well as, very importantly, is government policies. I like that we had some government policy people here that would take, and I love when someone government person said that they are all in Ministry of Agri, they're also taking a look at agroecological systems. Because if you do not have policies to drive, so this slide is a no-no, because the truth is that chemicals are not an option. Or those chemical pesticides are not, next slide, are not an option. And now the alternative, like I said, is to regenerative agriculture, an agriculture that can regenerate itself. Nothing stopping us from having, we've done this in my university days, in my secondary school, we've heard of shifting cultivation. We had all these things. We've heard of all those many kind of things where you have planting different plants in one. We've heard of these things, but how effective were they then? I think we're the cause of doing sick, but now the conversation is we must now intensify those forms of agricultural practices, because they not only increase productivity, but they help rejuvenate the environment. You help rejuvenate the soil where so you can have a mixture of plants. So what are we recommending? We're recommending that ECOWAS, especially Nigeria, because if we take a look, like I said before, West Africa is the hub of pesticide imports. We need to take a stand, a serious stand, with regards importation and use and regulation of these hazardous pesticides. It's very, very important. Federal Ministry of